Today we're gonna make almond Linzer cookies. It's a soft, tender almond cookie that is sandwiched with a raspberry jam that is then topped with confectioner sugar for a beautiful show-stopping cookie. This is a delight all year round, but fabulous for the holidays. Let's get into it. So first step, Linzer dough, is to whisk together our dry ingredients. I've got my AP flour, I've got kosher salt, cinnamon, and baking powder. And I'm gonna go ahead and whisk those together. I'm gonna set that aside. Now, I am going to use the creaming method. We're gonna go ahead and get our stand mixer set up with our bowl. We're gonna get our butter in there, which is actually very, very much room temperature right now. And then we're going to put about like 2/3 of our sugar in with that. I mean, it's not rocket science, like don't stress about it. And then the rest of our sugar is gonna go with our almond meal. So I'm actually just gonna kind of mash those together and then get your butter and remaining sugar creaming. Now it is more butter than sugar, so it's not gonna get light and fluffy like you might imagine, like sometimes with, you know, a cake or something. So just know that, and that's fine. You're just kind of combining, really. Go ahead and turn that up. And then you're gonna go ahead and add your egg and your vanilla. Now go ahead and get that, I mean, it's a lot of butter, if you will. So butter and egg don't like to combine without sugar around. So just go ahead and kind of, you know, help them out a little bit. And pull up. So you'll see that they did get light and fluffy. They combined really nicely. And that is the point where we're going to add our almond meal and sugar mixture. So just give it one more. And then we're gonna turn it down and add our almond meal and sugar. Get in there. And you're gonna beat that in. Make like a really nice paste. And now we're gonna slowly add our flour. So you're gonna turn it down to medium, turn low, and then just add your flour a bit at a time, per usual, and just kind of let it work in. Last bit. Right, so go ahead and scrape that down. It's definitely almost there. It just needs a little help to get everybody together. And there she is. And that's the dough. We are gonna go ahead and chill this. We are gonna do this, we're gonna chill it overnight, but you wanna chill it at least 2 hours until it's firm and set, so you get beautiful cookies that don't shrink or spread. Go ahead and kind of press it together. You know, if like you had some stragglers in the bottom, you wanna go ahead and give it a nice little press and make sure that it's all together in one cohesive dough. And then we're gonna chill this. Now, we are ready to roll and cut our Linzers. So I'm gonna go ahead and just apron up. Alrighty, and we're gonna get our pans prepped. So by that, I just mean we've got parchment paper. I've got 2 sheet pans, one for the tops and one for the bottoms. I'm gonna go ahead and give those a little spray and line those with my parchment. So, alright. Great. Now you wanna make sure you do your tops and bottoms separate. Doesn't matter how many you're making, because they bake at different rates, and you don't want to have burnt edges on the tops and underbaked centers, so on the bottom. So here we are. I've pulled this out and it's been sitting on the counter for about 10 minutes just to kind of let it start to warm up a little bit. But go ahead and give yourself a generous dusting of bench flour. You can reflour as you go, but just know that you don't want your dough to stick. Get yourself an offset just in case. And then go ahead and unwrap your dough. Now, I'm gonna flour my rolling pin and give the top of the dough a little sprinkle. There she is. It's a pretty sticky dough. I mean, it's not aggressively sticky, but it is sticky on the stickier side. You wanna make sure that you have some sort of cookie cutter at the ready and go ahead and just start rolling. Now you see how the top is moving and the bottom isn't really moving? That's because it's cold. So you just wanna work carefully and gradually, and let the dough kind of warm up with the friction from the rolling pin. Now it's not going to, if you force it, you can force it, but then it's going to crack on the edges and you're going to have to re-roll before you can get all of your cookies cut. You can also temp it a little bit, you can let it sit out a little longer, that's okay. I just kind of keep flouring my rolling pin. And I'm not stressing too much about what's happening here or the layers. And layers, I mean thickness. Not stressing about that. Just trying to do it gently with love and care. And I can also kind of start to, you know, roll some of those edges back into themselves. So, and what I mean by that is I'm actually holding the rolling pin over here loosely, and I'm putting the pressure where I would like to roll, and I'm letting the rolling pin kind of move. At some point, you are not going to be able to move your dough around anymore. It's going to be too thin and it's just going to tear. And that's okay. You just need to trust that you put enough bench flour down and that everything is going to be all right. So go ahead and just get your dough to about 1/4 of an inch, maybe like a little thinner than 1/4 of an inch. 1/4 of an inch is possible and will make a delightful cookie, but it will be a chubby. Looking pretty good, pretty even. And we're going to cut either the bottom or the top first. It doesn't matter what shape you choose for your cookie. It just, you know, you want to go ahead and make sure you flour it and just kind of cut, you know, the same number of tops and bottoms. So I'm going to go ahead and take those and place them on my sheet. These are going to become my bottoms, but it really doesn't matter. Now if you have like a little crack in there, don't stress about that either, because, you know, this dough is really loving and it's gonna turn out beautifully. I'm loving the shape. Oh, all right, so if it starts sticking, go ahead and just help get your offset to help you out. If it sticks egregiously, you can try and kind of shove some flour underneath there. Get your scraps, keep your scraps, you can re-roll those. Now these don't really spread a ton. We are going to chill them before we bake them, so you don't have to stress too much about how far apart they are. I mean, if you put them on top of each other, then yeah, they're going to stick together. But, you know, we're going to chill them. They're going to be fine. Now if you're using circle cutters or something like that, then you can just choose a slightly smaller, you know, ring mold or something or glass, like shot glass or something, to cut the center out. All right, how many short am I? 5. I have 2 short. So I'm gonna take these and I'm gonna go ahead and put those back together. Now I would try and not get any more extra bench flour than I already have in there, but you know, some is inevitable. And I'm gonna go ahead and take those and make them into a round. Grab the rolling pin and just roll this out to about the same height. You could get a couple more out of this actually. All right, there she is. Go. Alright, so now we've got our tops and our bottoms, which are currently indistinguishable, but we are going to cut out the centers. You can do this when it's cold, doesn't matter, whatever you want to do, that's fine. So I'm just going to try and cut a diamond shape. It's not my best shape to cut, I'm just going to let you know that, just full disclosure. So, you know, let's hope for the best. Boom. Alright, and then we're going to rinse and repeat. I've got this. Trapezoid. Alright, we've cut our centers. If you had a hole, like a punch, that would have been so much easier, and bravo. These have to chill. So we are going to go ahead and pop these in the fridge. They aren't going to take that long, maybe 20-25 minutes, depending on how much you got going on in your fridge. But then we're going to bake them. So preheat your oven to 325 in the meantime, and get ready to bake. Alright, so our Linzers are cool, and they're firm to the touch, and we are ready to bake them. I've preheated the oven to 325. We're going to pop these in there. They're only going to bake like 8 minutes or so, especially the tops. You want to keep an eye on the tops and make sure that they are just starting to brown around the outside and they don't get too dark. The bottoms will start to brown around the outside, and then they will look matte in the center, so they won't look shiny anymore, so not raw dough. And then we're going to pull them out. So our Linzers are out. They've cooled nicely. You can see that they got a nice golden brown around the outside, and they are ready to be assembled. So first we're going to go ahead and dust the tops with confectioner's sugar, and then we'll set those aside. If you do this while it's still warm, then the confectioner's sugar will just kind of melt into the dough and you'll get yourself like a sticky situation, which obviously we don't want. So we're going to set those over here, and then we are going to do our bottoms. This is raspberry jam. You can use any sort of jam that you'd like, any flavor that you like. You can use seedless or not seeds. I find that it is nice without seeds, but you do you. Go ahead and put just some in the center. You don't have to put it in a piping bag. If you don't want to, you can just spread it on there, spoon it on there, and that would be fine. That's probably too much, but here we are. And so go ahead and just kind of spread out that jam. You want a nice thin layer. You do want it to go all the way to the edges. You don't want bits that don't have jam, like that's sad. But you don't want it too thick either. So the beautiful thing about these cookies is that they keep for a long time, like 7 days, because the jam kind of adheres the two together. It gets kind of soft, and it's better after 2 days. Sometimes, I would say it's best at 3. Just because it's just that kind of perfect, soft, yet still a little crisp sometimes on the edges contrast. And now we've got all the bottoms, and we can just go ahead and take a top and place it gently on the top of every bottom, and everybody will have a mate because we counted. There's nothing worse than that. And voila, we're done. We've made a Linzers. Now, it is time to try. Now, technically, these should definitely sit at least a day. For the flavors to meld, for the layers to combine, for everything to be more than the sum of its parts. But alas, we are going to do it today because I'm very excited about them. I cannot wait. Like crunchy on the outside, that beautiful sweet jam on the center with a little hint of sweetness from the confectioner's sugar on top. You get that beautiful almond in the dough. The bottom's a little soft. They're fabulous, and they will only continue to get better. They will only continue to get better as they sit and meld and the two pieces become one. If you're enjoying this video, be sure to hit the subscribe button below and click the bell icon to be notified each time I post a new and delicious recipe.